वेलकम टू कोनेक्सियो कॉर्पोरेट एक्सप्लोरर। दोस्तों, इस प्रोग्राम के माध्यम से हम आपको नई इमर्जिंग कंपनीज के बारे में आपको बताते हैं, इनकी कंपनीज के को प्रमोटर्स के साथ हम आपको मिलवाते हैं। तो आज मैं इन्फो सिटी में हूं, विच इज इन गांधीनगर। दिस प्लेस इज समथिंग अराउंड 17 किलोमीटर्स फ्रॉम द अहमदाबाद एयरपोर्ट। और इस कंपनी में जहां पे मैं बैठा हूं, ये कंपनी का नाम है पॉजिट्रॉन एनर्जी लिमिटेड। द कंपनी इज कमिंग अप फ्रॉम द एसएमई बोर्ड के ऊपर आ रही है। और इस कंपनी के 3 प्रमोटर्स हैं और तीनों प्रमोटर्स ने 16 साल लगाए इस कंपनी को इस लेवल पे आने के लिए। दोस्तों, मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि जब खून पसीना प्रमोटर इस कंपनी में देता है तभी कंपनी इस लेवल के ऊपर पहुंचती है। तो चलिए इस कंपनी के 3 डायनामिक को प्रमोटर्स से मिलते हैं। यहां पे सबसे पहले मिलते हैं मिस्टर राजीव मेनन, हु इज द मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर। मेनन साहब, आपका इस प्रोग्राम में स्वागत है। फिर हमारे साथ दूसरे सीईओ एंड द होल टाइम डायरेक्टर मिस्टर मानव गहरी। बारी साहब, आपका इस प्रोग्राम में स्वागत है। And the third, of course, is Mr. Sujit Sugathan, who's also the whole-time director. आपका इस प्रोग्राम में स्वागत है।
Thank you.
तो दोस्तों, चलिए सवाल जवाब का सिलसिला शुरू करते हैं। मेरा सबसे पहला सवाल राजीव मेनन साहब के लिए। मेनन साहब, how do you describe your company?
Positron Energy Limited is a company which is available for rendering their services and is present in all natural gas vertical, starting from the drill bit to burner tip. We are there in all sectors of verticals of natural gas business.
सुजीत जी, मेरा नेक्स्ट सवाल आपके लिए कि what are the various business verticals what Positron Energy is engaged in?
Positron Energy is considered to be one of the leading business development solution providers for the oil and gas sector. We started way back in 2008, starting off with the entire value chain. The entire focus was technical services, and on the other part we were involved into gas sales and distribution business. In technical services, we cater to 3 broad perspectives. One is management consulting, second we do project management consulting, and we also provide operation and maintenance services for the gas distribution sector. And on the gas distribution front, we have been involved last 15 years in gas on wheels related solutions, and now we are also increasingly developing our business portfolio into gas sales and distribution through pipelines across the country.
तो यहाँ पे इससे रिलेटेड मेरा मानव जी से सवाल है कि मानव जी, प्लीज टेल अस समथिंग अबाउट द प्रमोटर्स ऑफ द कंपनी एंड देयर क्रेडेंशियल्स।
Sure. See, the promoters of the company have come basically from the oil and gas sector. And in the oil and gas sector, we have been in this sector for more than 16 years, and we have made a formidable space for ourselves in this sector. आज हमें सब लोग जानते हैं सिटी गैस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेक्टर में, ऑयल एंड गैस इंडस्ट्री में, be it large PSUs or be it leading MNCs, we have carved a niche for ourselves in the sector. So far as the promoters are concerned, all the 3 promoters come from a very illustrious background in terms of they have got qualification from leading institutes of NIT, and they have done MBAs and this thing from leading institutes in the country. Both in terms of experience as well as in academic qualification, the promoters are top of the notch. Prior to this, the promoters were working also in leading MNCs and leading national oil companies in the country.
राजीव जी, मेरा सवाल आपके लिए कि what are the prospects of LNG and dual fuel power trucks?
Tamiji, where we have decided as a country that we have to reduce our import bills, as you rightly said, that we are heavily dependent on crude imports and crude becoming costlier, and we also are taking step towards decarbonization. So हमने CNG पूरे हिंदुस्तान में भी ऑलरेडी सब जगह CNG है, मैक्सिमम कंट्रीज, मैक्सिमम सिटीज़ में। अब दूसरा एक बहुत बड़ा एक लेग बचता है, वो है ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर, विच इज़ ट्रकिंग बिजनेस। सो ट्रकिंग बिजनेस में डीजल को रिप्लेस करने के लिए आपको LNG एज अ फ्यूल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होगा। बट एज आपने सवाल पूछा डुअल फ्यूल इसलिए इम्पॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज ये सारी ट्रकें जो भी है वो पहले डीजल पे ही चल रही है, सीधे LNG पे नहीं जा सकती बिकॉज ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड एवरीथिंग। सो यहाँ पे एक हाइब्रिड मॉडल चलेगा विच इज़ LNG प्लस डीजल। So that will take a conversion market into a place wherein we will have the entire fleets running on LNG. Then the OEMs will come and country will be having a large fleet like trucks and buses which are primarily operating on highways on a LNG fuel, which will reduce a carbon emission and footprint in this country.
दोस्तों, जैसे राजीव जी ने बताया, इसमें एक सेंटेंस और ऐड करना चाहूंगा कि जैसे उन्होंने कार्बन क्रेडिट के ऊपर बात की, लेकिन जब आपके पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स जब आप कोयले से बिजली बनाते हैं तो ऑब्वियसली पोल्यूशन होता है, लेकिन अगर आपका गैस बेस्ड अगर पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स है तो उसमें और एक एडेड एडवांटेज मिलता है कि इनफैक्ट देयर इज अ कंबाइंड साइकिल, जो उसमें से स्टीम प्रोड्यूस होती है, उस स्टीम को भी आप रिसाइकिल करके उसमें से पावर बनाते हैं, तो दैट इज व्हाट इज नोन एज ग्रीन फ्यूल। तो पॉजिट्रॉन एनर्जी लिमिटेड से आज हमारे साथ फिर एक इंपॉर्टेंट व्यक्ति जुड़े हैं, इज मिस्टर लीजी इब्राहिम, हु इज द चीफ टेक्निकल ऑफिसर। तो मेरा सवाल इब्राहिम साहब आपसे ये है कि आई अंडरस्टैंड पॉजिट्रॉन हैज वेंचर्ड इनटू ईपीसी प्रोजेक्ट्स अक्रॉस इंडिया फॉर पीईपीएनजी, तो उसके ऊपर कुछ लाइट थ्रो करिए।
EPC project for Positron has been a logical extension of our consultancy and project management business जो we have been carrying out for the last 15 years, and this has been a very logical extension, and we are very keen. Presently we are executing EPC projects right from Leh Ladakh to Ramanathapuram down in the south, which itself shows the area that we are covering. We are covering the entire country.
I think, I mean, that's a very important and a very valid point. In fact, what is highlighted that in fact, you know, the EPC contracts, what they're doing from north to south, east to west, and that's where India is growing. My last question is, how do you foresee EPC business for Positron?
EPC business for Positron has been paved by the PNGB 12th round of PNGB bidding rounds, which has paved for almost covering 698 districts in the country, which is covering 98% of the population. It itself has thrown up opportunities for setting up 5 crore PNG connections across the country and taking the gas volumes from ambitious 500 MMSCMD. So the graph, the canvas is very wide, and Positron is trying to extract its pound of flesh from this canvas.
I think thank you so much. और दोस्तों जैसे यहाँ पे इब्राहिम साहब ने ये जो डिटेल्स बताए, but you know, I mean, we are running short of time. Otherwise, in fact, we would have highlighted onto NLP कि जो which is the, you know, the growth engine of India as far as the oil and gas exploration is concerned, the new exploration licensing policy, the amount of reforms, in fact, what the government has done is an amazing story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
दोस्तों अब हम आए हैं इस रियल वर्ल्ड में। आप ये देख रहे हैं कि इस ओपन फील्ड में, गुजरात के इस ओपन फील्ड में ऑन शोर से जो क्रूड ऑयल निकलता है और उसके साथ नेचुरल गैस भी निकलती है, दोनों को सेपरेट किया जाता है। क्रूड इज हेवी तो वहां पे स्टोरेज किया जाता है। यहां पे आप देख रहे हैं सेपरेटर 1, सेपरेटर 2, गैस में से जो इंप्योरिटीज है आप उसको फिल्टर करते हैं और उसके बाद फिर जो नेचुरल गैस है इस पाइपलाइन के थ्रू, ये देखिए पाइपलाइन, इस पाइपलाइन के थ्रू कंप्लीट पूरे इंडस्ट्री को दी जाती है। दैट मींस Positron is supplying this natural gas to all the companies of Gujarat, और basically they are looking at the energies of these companies, यानी यहां से आपके फर्नेसेस चलते हैं, पावर प्लांट चलता है। सो दिस इज द सॉल्यूशन टू द इंडस्ट्री ऑफ गुजरात। दोस्तों जैसे मैं कह रहा हूं कि आने वाला समय, क्रूड और नेचुरल गैस इज ओनली गोइंग टू बी द फ्यूचर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, एंड इट इज ऑल्सो गोइंग टू बी द फ्यूचर फॉर इंडिया। जैसे प्राइम मिनिस्टर कहते हैं, दिस इज ग्रीन एनर्जी। तो दोस्तों अब यहां से इस रियल वर्ल्ड को आपने देखा, तो यहां से अब मेरा सवाल सुजीत जी के लिए। सुजीत जी, पॉजिट्रॉन में इनफैक्ट यू आर डूइंग अ वंडरफुल जॉब, इनफैक्ट वी हैव सीन दिस ऑन द साइट, एंड यहां पे मैं ये कहूंगा कि ऑब्वियसली कोई बिजनेस कभी मोनोपोली में नहीं होता है, देयर इज कंपटीशन। तो यू नो, हु आर योर मेन कॉम्पिटिटर्स और कैसे आप अपने आप को डिस्टिंग्विश करते हैं विथ योर अदर कॉम्पिटिटर्स?
Rajesh ji, basically Positron Energy is providing one-stop solution to the industrial requirements for the gas distribution sector. You know, so when we talk about competition, we really need to understand our offerings. You know, again going back, we do management consulting. There you have different set of competition. When we talk about project management consulting, we have very different set of competition. Operation and maintenance, it is again different set of competition. How Positron has positioned ourselves is like very clearly, we provide the entire solution to the city gas distribution sector per se. Whatever requirement comes in, we have some or the other solutions. But all these business verticals in itself has got very different set of competition. So directly speaking, there is no benchmarking as such for the business operations that we are undertaking. When we come on to the gas distribution related business, again the competition is there by all the leading PSUs, public sector units and all, and we are, you know, slowly and steadily increasing our business portfolio with respect to the existing competition from the city gas distribution sector as well as the leading PSUs who are there in the sector.
मेरा ऐसा मानना है मानव जी, क्योंकि अब मैं नेक्स्ट सवाल आपसे पूछ रहा हूं, मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि रेगुलेटर हैज टू बी देयर और रेगुलेट बेसिकली रेगुलेट करता है, बट मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि कंपटीशन इज द बिगेस्ट रेगुलेटर। तो यहाँ पे फिर मेरा सवाल यह है कि व्हाट आर सम ऑफ द रेगुलेटरी चैलेंजेस व्हाट योर कंपनी इज फेसिंग इन द रीसेंट टाइम्स?
श्योर। सबसे पहले तो मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा, पॉजिट्रॉन एनर्जी came into existence as the government's challenge to the regulatory framework that government had recently formed. The regulator came into existence in 2007 and we came into existence in 2008, which was primarily to address the regulatory challenges that various entities were facing across the country. We came from the oil and gas industry, we understood the regulation, we understood the technical nuances, and we understood the commercial nuances. We brought all of it together, we brought the expertise together in order to ensure that our customers, our clients, the industries, the city gas distribution entities, the oil and gas entities are able to utilize the regulatory framework in their benefit and augment the industry. So that was the area where we came in. So regulation per se does not pose any challenges to us. As on the contrary, regulation is an opportunity for us. More the regulation, the government wants to ensure safety, government wants to ensure a lot of other things, so they keep introducing new regulations, and we as technical expertise give the solution to the industry to align themselves with the regulatory framework of the country, so that we are able to complete the compliance activity also, and at the same time the industry is able to perform in a safe and a compliant manner.
तो मानव जी, यहीं से फिर रिलेटेड जैसे आपने कहा, तो यहाँ पे देन जो रिफॉर्म्स आए हैं, आई मीन आई वुड से, हाउ हैव द रिफॉर्म्स इन द गैस सेक्टर particularly benefited Positron?
Oh yes, that's a very interesting question, and I'd like to answer it. As Sujit had been pointing out, we have got two segments, so I will cover both of these segments separately. Government in the last 7-8 years has come out with city gas distribution licenses, which they have awarded to almost more than 300 plus city gas distribution entities. The pipeline network in the country was minuscule before 2015-16. With the bidding round and the licenses being awarded, more than 300 districts, 300 GAs, and each GA has got about 3 districts on an average. So many districts are going to get connected on the pipeline network. This gives us a very big opportunity in terms of our management consulting services, in terms of our technical services, in terms of operations and operations services, to go out and offer our expertise to these entities in order to ensure that they are able to connect, they are able to lay pipelines, they are able to connect consumers, industries, and we are able to create a gas-based economy. So this is answering the first part of the question, the management and technical services. Big opportunity for us, huge opportunity. The second big thing is, because of all the reform that government has come in fact very recently the government has come with a reform called unified tariff. Earlier every small pipeline used to have its own tariff, and therefore the molecule, when it used to reach the end consumer, it used to become very expensive, and at times it used to be so expensive that it would be more expensive than all the alternate fuel. And at the end of the day, while we take care of the environment, we also have to ensure that the economies of the industry are also maintained. So the molecule was becoming prohibitively expensive, and therefore people were not using it. With this reform, now government has said that 300 kilometers X tariff, 1200 kilometers Y tariff, beyond 1200 something else tariff. So they have categorized irrespective of the pipelines. The government has worked with all the entities to ensure that the distribution of tariff happens internally. This is a huge reform which gives benefit to the industries, which give benefit to end users, and it's a big benefit for us because as a natural gas aggregator and distributor, we know where the customer, and we can go and connect to the consumer and make it very easy for the consumer to use the gas. Earlier we had to speak with 10 entities to ensure that the gas reaches the end consumer. Today we know the tariff, we know the entities, and we have made master framework agreements with the gas transporters, and we are able to increase our business multifold because of this particular reform. Similarly, government has given a lot of reforms which is benefiting companies like us in a big way.
तो जैसे दोस्तों यहाँ पे मानव जी ने कहा, तो एक पॉइंट और कहना चाहूंगा, चाहे वो किसी फॉर्म में हो, एनर्जी इज एनर्जी। तो जैसे इन्होंने कहा कि यू गोइंग टू टारगेट मोर ऑफ कस्टमर्स, एक दिल्ली का ही आपको एग्जांपल देता हूं। मानव जी उनके दिल्ली ऑफिस में भी बैठते हैं, तो मानव जी तो जानते हैं कि दिल्ली में जो म्युनिसिपल लिमिट्स के अंडर नहीं आते, वहां पे लाल डोरा गांव है जी। अब आपने जब वहां के सारे घरों का आपने कंप्लीट कर दिया, नाउ यू आर लुकिंग एट न्यू कस्टमर्स। तो मैंने अभी जब दिल्ली गया तो मैंने देखा लाल डोरा में सारी पाइपलाइन डल रही है जी। तो ये जो एस्टैब्लिश और जो वेल ऑर्गेनाइज कॉलोनीज थी, अब वहां से जब आपने उनको कंप्लीट किया तो नाउ यू आर गेटिंग इनटू लाल डोरा। करेक्ट। सो दोस्तों प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग, इंडिया इज अ बिग मार्केट, वी हैव अ ट्रेमेंडस हमारा पोटेंशियल है। तो एनर्जी के फॉर्म में दिस इज अ ग्रीन फॉर्म ऑफ एनर्जी। प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग कि लिक्विफाइड नेचुरल गैस भी जब आप इसको इंपोर्ट करते हैं, बिकॉज ऑफ दीज टेरिटोरियल प्रॉब्लम्स, पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश और इन कंट्रीज के साथ हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, तो यहां पे आप जब पाइपलाइन नहीं डालते हैं तो जो गैस आती है वो गैस फॉर्म में आप इंपोर्ट नहीं करते हैं, दैट आप उसका लिक्विफैक्शन यूनिट लगाते हैं एट द सोर्स, उसके बाद कंटेनर्स में डाल के उसके बाद जेट्टी में वो ट्रांसपोर्ट की जाती है और उसके बाद फिर वहां पे आप रीगैसिफिकेशन करते हैं। तो यहां पे मैं समझता हूं मानव जी, बिकॉज ऑफ दीज टू प्रोसेसेस, केमिकल प्रोसेस ऑफ लिक्विफैक्शन एंड रीगैसिफिकेशन, द प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ऑफ द कंपनी ऑल्सो इंक्रीजेस।
लेट मी ऐड वन मोर 2-3 more points in this. See, government over the last couple of years has been getting into an overdrive in terms of laying the pipelines. Earlier there used to be 2 large pipelines, HVJ, DVPL, and that's about it. Today we have a cross section of pipelines connecting north to south, south to west, west to east, east to south. So the entire country has been connected by trunk transmission pipelines. And then from this trunk transmission pipeline, there are smaller pipelines which are reaching out to individual districts, GAs across the country, which has kind of helped government in 2 things. One, India's average consumption of natural gas is just about 6%. Government has set a target of taking it to 15% by 2030. And these reforms are going to increase the utilization of gas because the pipeline is there in every nook and corner of the country. The industries are getting connected, and therefore the molecules from the LNG terminals can be taken from the domestic sources like these, can be taken to the end user. Adding one more point, over the last couple of years, we had earlier just about 2 terminals which were operating at some 50-80%, 50-70% capacity. Today, we have more than 6 terminals which are adequately utilized. On an average, have a utilization upwards of 60-70%. And these LNG terminals are pushing gas into the country along with the increase in domestic production. The domestic production of natural gas has also gone up. So all of that molecules is coming and ultimately through these pipeline network reaching to the end users and the industry. And we are becoming a source, or if you may say a party which uses the infrastructure and the consumer and connects them together in order to increase the utilization of gas.
दोस्तों यहाँ पे जैसे मानव जी ने आपको बड़ा अच्छी तरीके से एक्सप्लेन किया। दोस्तों यहाँ पे देखिए आप, एंड यू कैन सी दीज पाइप्स, इस पाइप्स, इन पाइपलाइंस के थ्रू ये जो गैस है, ये आपकी नेचुरल गैस इज बीन सप्लाइड टू द इंडस्ट्री। व्हाट अ ब्यूटीफुल सोर्स ऑफ ग्रीन एनर्जी व्हिच इज बीन सप्लाइड टू द वाइब्रेंट गुजरात। दोस्तों इट्स एन अमेजिंग स्टोरी ऑफ द ग्रोथ इन फैक्ट व्हिच हैज टेकन इन द लास्ट 20 years। और मेरे साथ कंपनी के मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर है मिस्टर राजीव। तो यहाँ पे मैं राजीव मेनन साहब से ये पूछूंगा, राजीव, डोंट यू फील सो व्हाट अ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इंडिया हैज गॉन थ्रू? आप तो बेसिकली ये इस बिजनेस में है। I mean, I would say that in fact in the last 10 years, I mean, we have achieved the HBJ pipeline, Hazira, Bijapur, Jagdishpur, Kandla, Bhatinda, which is again a product pipeline. Then in fact, apni Mathura refinery ke liye, you're putting up a pipeline from Salaya to Mathura. What an amazing transformation. And then Positron is also a part of, this development in fact, which the country has been doing it, and you have been in this business for the last 16 years. तो इसमें आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
Rajesh ji, the development which country is going through or it is a continual process where we are trying to become energy sufficient country by different sources of energy which are more on greener side, and we want to get out of the coal, the traditional fuel, and we want to come into a fuel supply system which is autonomous and which is not disrupted by any logistic supply issue. So natural gas adds a curve to it, and so far we'll go to more greener side, but as always we know natural gas is a transition fuel towards the greener side.
Absolutely. दोस्तों अब हम यहाँ पे हेडर के पास खड़े हैं. Look at the equipment. This is fantastic. Now this is all the work in fact which has been done by Positron. और यहाँ पे सारे वेल्स पे से जितने भी वेल्स में से गैस आती है यहाँ पे एग्रीगेट होती है और उसके बाद फिर यहाँ से उस पाइपलाइंस के थ्रू डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होती है इंडस्ट्रियल यूसेज के लिए. अब मेरा सवाल द फाइनेंशियल विजार्ड ऑफ दिस कंपनी Positron, Sujit ji says, Sujit ji, now, the financials are something very important at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So, what I would say is, आप कुछ थोड़ा सा highlight करिए कंपनी के turnover और उसकी कुछ profitability के ऊपर.
Right. So basically Positron Energy has been undertaking the business for technical services and the gas aggregation, and the last 2-3 years we have been focusing in terms of enhancing our gas aggregation business. So with respect to that, last year we have been able to achieve a top line of 135 crores FY24, and previous year to that we had, when initially started off our gas aggregation, at that time we were at FY23 was at 52 crores. So you can see the substantial top line addition that has happened during this year, and we intend to maintain the similar pace for the coming times.
Could you just highlight something in percentage terms for the profitability of the company?
Absolutely. Positron has always endeavored to maintain a EBITDA margin of around 10 to 11% is what we have been always targeting. Now, considering the margin part of that, again we need to understand, while we are in diverse business verticals, each of these business verticals have different kind of profit margin per se. When I say 10 to 11% kind of a percent of EBITDA, it is a average of all the businesses put together. So the gas aggregation has got a different kind of percentage margin, and the management services have got a different profitability maintained. Putting all the businesses together, we are ensuring that PAT that is maintained for the company is roughly around 6 to 7% is what we are trying to ensure for the businesses.
दोस्तों, अगर this is the kind of the revenue in fact which the company generates, particularly in the oil and gas sector, जो सुजीत ने आपको बताया कि जो percentage terms में, this is one of the best profitability as far as PAT is concerned, because you have to go by what the international standards are. अब यहाँ से मेरा सुजीत जी के लिए दूसरा सवाल कि सुजीत जी कुछ ऑर्डर बुक्स के बारे में बताइए ना कि व्हाट इज द ऑर्डर बुक पोजीशंस ऑफ द कंपनी, एंड देन व्हाट आर द प्रोजेक्ट्स इन हैंड, व्हाट यू आर डूइंग ऑफ प्रेजेंट, और कुछ थोड़ा सा एक साल के कुछ प्रोजेक्शंस के बारे में बताइए.
Right. So here again I will divide it into two part of it. The technical services, when we look into the order book, you have a lot of consulting assignments, the gas distribution related businesses which are opening across the country that we have been talking about. So there are huge number of opportunities which are coming up in terms of project management, consulting, operation and maintenance, doing EPC related contracts and all, which we are bagging contracts across the country. As on date, we have roughly around order book of 27 crores, and we have individual long-term assignments of upwards of 27 different individual assignments. So that is what is the present status. Now, considering the fact that this entire industry is opening up and emerging out, this will substantially increase. This addition is substantially going to enhance, and which we expect to range between at least 2 to 3 times in the times to come. That is the technical services part of it. On the second part, when we look into the gas aggregation business, which is contributing roughly around 75 to 80% of our business volumes, there we need to understand the fact that the gas aggregation is happening from the sources across the country, and we are distributing it to the consumers, and the contracts are varied. There are certain contracts which are on long-term basis, certain contracts which are on short-term basis, monthly contracts, fortnightly contracts and all. We cater to all kind of requirements coming from the various city gas distribution entities as well as through the industries. So looking to the order book there, for all the back-to-back contracts where we have long-term contracts, we have signed back-to-back agreements for entire tenure. We have multiple contracts for 5 years and plus, and we have signed back-to-back contracts there. And our endeavor is in terms of aggregating more and more volumes for the times to come, and we would be doing it on a real-time basis based on the contracts that we are able to add onto our portfolio.
दोस्तों, जब इन्होंने कहा कि EPC contracts, particularly in fact I would suggest कि oil and gas sector में, when an engineering company talks about, and the engineers are talking about EPC, engineering, procurement and construction, of course, is a very difficult task. It is not an easy thing. This is something in fact which is something very specialized. Sujit, what a long journey Positron has done in the last 16 years. My last question to conclude would be, nothing works without capital. So how was the company financed till date?
It's a fantastic and very interesting question to be kept on the last. So we are all first generation entrepreneurs, and we started the company way back in 2008. The basic principle was we did not want to burden the company with debt initially. So it was all kind of bootstrapping that we had undertaken during our initial phase, and we built the business initially. Thereafter, we were lucky enough to have some real good funding support from our bankers, and they started providing us some working capital limits based on the step-by-step approach, where we were able to add on to our resources through our bootstrapping efforts. And based on that, we were able to scale up our businesses with the working capital limits. Over the last 4 to 5 years, there has been substantial support which has been extended by our bankers, and with those support with the bankers and our bootstrapping efforts internally, we have been trying to ensure that the debt in the company is minimalistic, only with the basic exposure with respect to the working capital limits that we had enhanced in terms of the guarantees that are required for the aggregation business as well as for our ongoing EPC and PMC projects. We have ensured that we have the debt at the minimalistic possible level, and we have ensured that the company remains healthy enough in terms of self-sustaining by maintaining adequate profitability within the company.
दोस्तों यहाँ पे जैसे सुजीत ने जो एक्सप्लेन किया बूटस्ट्रैपिंग एंड ऑल दीज कॉन्सेप्ट्स, इनफैक्ट आई वुड नॉट से दैट दीज आर जार्गन्स, बट यहाँ पे मैं इनको अप्रिशिएट करूंगा, कंग्रेचुलेट करूंगा, बिकॉज एज अ बिजनेसमैन, एज अ प्रमोटर ऑफ द कंपनी, the conventional way of doing the business is the best way to build up a company. It takes time, it takes dedication into it, and 16 long years have taken into it. But मेरा ऐसा पर्सनल मानना है कि यहाँ पे थोड़ी सी डिफिकल्टी आती है, बट अब 16 years के बाद the growth is going to be faster because you have reached to a particular position. तो यहाँ पे सुजीत, thanks a lot for giving your time.
Thank you so much
and
for
let
your
me
time.
thank the managing director,
Thank you, sir.
Rajiv and Manav. Thanks a lot. And यहाँ पे best wishes and good luck to all these 3 promoters. Thank you for watching this program.
Thank you.
Friends, this is a general disclaimer. The content is for information and education purpose only. You should not constitute any such information or other material as investments or the other advice. Nothing contained in this channel constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments. All opinions expressed on this show are personal opinions that do not reflect any official views. You should not consider any opinion expressed on this show as a specific advice to make a particular investment, but merely as an expression of opinion. For further information on this factor, please refer to the DRHP, RHP filed with SEBI, NSE Emerge and BSC SME Board. Thank you.